Good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can see and you can hear and everything sounds and looks okay. If you could just let me know in the chat, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then I'll do a couple of welcomes and we'll get the stream rolling and I'll introduce my guest. So if anyone could let me know if everything sounds okay in the chat, that would be absolutely fantastic. And then we can get the ball rolling. So if you could do that, that would be brilliant. But apart from that, hopefully you're having a fantastic day. Everything is good where you are. And like I say, we will then get started with Andrey, my guest today from Crocoblock. And we'll go through a few things. And I've got a little bit of a surprise, which is a last minute thing after speaking to Lana from Crocoblock, which I think most of you will be quite happy about. So like I say, if you could let me know if you can hear and see, that would be fantastic. Until then, I'll just keep on talking and waffling and just talking rubbish. All good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Still ready. Okay, so let me quickly do a couple of welcomes and then I'm going to welcome my guest in today. So first of all, let's just go through who's in the live stream. Lana, pleasure to have you in here. Thank you very much for arranging all of this. And Victoria, again, good to see you in from Crocoblock as well. Trigidal, Mark, always good to see you in. And if anybody doesn't know Mark, go and check out Mark's channel. He's doing fantastic work on YouTube. And thank you very much for joining in with the live stream. And it's also been really interesting to see what he's doing with the sort of collaborations with other people out there, the creators and things. So be sure to go and check his channel out. Michael, always a pleasure to see you in. Max, a pleasure as well. Ms. Eva Nick, thank you for joining in. Dax, thank you for coming in as well. Anna, Moxet, Tees, MR2 Media. We've got Margarita, Hemel, Cow. That definitely wins the best name so far today. Goran, good to see you in. Ken, now I have no chance of saying this, so I'm just going to pop you up on screen, but thank you very much for joining in today. Soy, thank you for joining in. Tees, Tony, Didier, NMG. Again, I have no chance of saying this, but thank you very much for joining in the live stream today. Okay, before I go any further, if you've got any questions you want to put to myself or to Andrey today, please just do #Q. That's #Q for question. Just means it's a lot easier for me also to go through and find out those questions and be able to ask them. But without further ado, let me just welcome my guest in today, which is Andrey Shevchenko from Crocoblock. Andrey, how are you doing today?
Yeah, hello, Paul. Hello, all you guys. I'm doing fine. So let's start.
Excellent, excellent. So, Andrey, would you like to say quickly who you are inside Crocoblock and what you kind of do and your involvement with Crocoblock itself? Because I think a lot of people, even though they probably know you, they may not know necessarily what you do within Crocoblock itself. So if you'd like to say, that'd be fantastic.
I first of all one two words about Crocoblock. If maybe someone doesn't know what this product is and what are we doing. We are doing plugins for WordPress, obviously. We started as an add-on for Elementor, but with the time we made our product more complete, and now we are compatible with Bricks and with also native block builder. And our main goal is to give the most complete solution for dynamic websites on the market. In this company, my part is CTO. I am responsible for all technical process or for all process related to product development. I mean, it's website itself, account of Crocoblock, and Crocoblock products, all plugins, and all developers who create these plugins. It's all my team, and we are doing this together.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for letting me know. So I'm going to start off with the question that I want to ask before we go on to some of the questions from the community, which is, where did the name Crocoblock come from? Because it's a bit of an obscure name, so I'm just curious where that name came from.
To be honest, it's very strange. Will be very strange answer. I don't know, because this name appeared, I think, 10 years ago when we started as WordPress Themes Club. It was totally different format from what are we doing now. And we created Crocoblock website, and we have other CEO who came with this name to us. And he say it will be Crocoblock. It will be themes club and will be create a lot of themes by subscription model. But this model at that moment already was not the best for future development. So that's why we stopped this project in, I think, 1 or 2 years after starting. And then in a few more years, I think 2 or 3 years, already with Andrey, our CEO, and our new team, we restarted this project as a plugins package. And we just used the name we already have. We have already this website, crocoblock.com. It was completely different. If you will search on Web Archive, you even can find these old pictures of this website. It, as I say, it's completely different. But we decided to keep this name because it already have some relation to WordPress in the web. So we just relaunch the product on this name and just keep it, and even don't think about what it means. And only in some time we understand how sometimes how difficult to people with other native languages pronounce this, because in Ukrainian Crocoblock, it sounds very well. It's easy to say, but in English, Crocoblock, yes, it's a bit complicated. If we was think about it when we launched, maybe we even choose another name. But we have what we have.
The thing is, I think now it's already well known, so I think it sometimes having that slightly obscure name is actually a benefit, because if you have something that's very mainstream, people will forget it. Whereas something like Crocoblock, it's synonymous with what you do now. So I think it was probably a good choice to stick with it. It's just one of those curious things. I just wondered where the name originally came from, because it's quite an obscure name to anybody, like I say, in the UK and things like that. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious where they came from. And apparently I'm not allowed to ask this. Volker says, how dare you? It's a fantastic brand. Volker, I'm not saying it's not a fantastic brand. I'm just curious where the name came from. So, okay. So let's talk about the questions that the community have come in with. So excuse me with my phone. It just means that I can see my notes a little easier. So the first question we kind of have is with regards to the dev tools. Now, if anybody doesn't know what the dev tools are, they're like very small additional plugins you can add on to, for example, Jet Engine, which expand into very specific functionality. And one of the questions was, is that going to be integrated into the standard sort of Crocoblock suite, as opposed to being those separate plugins? So is that something you're looking to do in the near future, or is that something they're going to stay as those sort of standalone dev tool products?
It's a bit complicated question, not from the side. I don't mean I don't know how to answer, but I mean that there is no easy answer for this question. First reason why it's a separate plugins, and why some add-ons always will be separated plugins, because some of these add-ons cover two specific cases, and we can't to integrate these things into the main plugin, because when we add in something into the main plugin of Crocoblock package, for example, Jet Engine, it means this functionality should be compatible with all parts of Crocoblock. Its filters, its indexing of the filters, its pop-ups, its forms. When we keep in this as add-on, we give for ourselves some possibility to keep it as is. It works like describe it, and this add-on do only this such thing. Because we faced when we trying to bundle some specific functionality into our main package, we always faced the issues of compatibility with other parts of Crocoblock suite, and it's related to additional load for all our departments. For example, for developers, there's additional load to make this all of things compatible. For QA, it's additional load to test all of this. For marketing and copyright departments, it's additional problems to describe all of this functionality properly on the website. For the support, it's a problem with clients who came with this the issues on this functionality. So we just decided to keep some too specific functionality a bit out of the box, not in the plugin itself, but like separate tools. The second reason for this and why not all add-ons will be bundled into the core Crocoblock plugins, because it's related to performance. Each add-on, even it do some tiny things, it adds some load into website. Maybe just for including its own files, it's some megabytes, some kilobytes, which added to memory usage. So even if this add-on do nothing at the moment, it still has some maybe tiny, maybe bigger impact on your website performance. But the functionality this add-ons add, it could be neat only for one person from 10. And bundling this add-on into the core, we make plugin more heavy for 9 people from 10. And for these 9 people, it adds nothing. They don't need this add-on, and they probably never will use the functionality it adds. That's why, as I said, we keep some functionality parts as separate add-ons. If we see that some add-on became more popular and requested for a lot of people, we bundled into the core, or adding is as external module for Jet Engine, for example. But as I said, some add-ons always will be separate. And the main problem with the separate add-ons that even not that these are separate plugins, but the problem that users can't find where they're located. Because for now it's one page, DevTools, on our website, and you need to know where is this page, that this page exists, to go to this page and to find add-on you need. When you found it, it's not problem for you to install a separate plugin and use. So I think the much bigger problem with add-ons for us right now is to make all these add-ons accessible for users, give them possibility to find these add-ons easily. And it's related not only add-ons, it's also related, for example, for code snippets. In these 6 years, we launching as Crocoblock, as plugins provider. We writing tons, hundreds, thousands, maybe code snippets, which also works as tiny add-on. It's, for example, resolve some very specific problem. But it's also a code which a user can use on your website, on his website, and resolve some problem he faces at the moment. But unfortunately, it also the problem that it's hard to find all the snippets, because even I don't know all of them. Part of the snippets located on the Crocoblock GIST, part located on the personal GIST GitHub accounts as GIST of developers, part located in the support, some internal support storage. So we have plans in the future to make this all things accessible for all users. Maybe some one hub where all these tools will be located, all DevTools add-ons, all code snippets, all solutions we already done, and each user will easily find. Maybe not very easily, but anyway, can find what he needs on this hub. And the second part of the solution we will try to build in this hub with some REST API into the Crocoblock dashboard, which you have in your admin area. But it will be the second iteration because it also related some performance questions because we don't want to create additional load on user website by just adding some information about add-ons which he probably will use, but probably will not use, never.
I think that's the difficulty. I think that's the difficulty because you've got such a comprehensive and ultimately complex set of tools. When you're talking like about Jet Engine specifically, or the functionality that is in Jet Engine, and then all the documentation and everything from the other plugins in the suite, it's going to be difficult to find that happy medium that means that you can make it very easy for people to find exactly what they want. If they don't know what they want or they don't know it exists, then there's difficulty there. So I can totally appreciate how difficult it is to kind of find the optimal way to be able to do this. And the fact that, like you say, the dev tools may actually operate between multiple different plugins that you may or may not have installed. That adds another level of complexity, like you've said, to how you factor that into the whole suite. I mean, one of the questions that kind of came up following what we were just talking about is from Moxit, is what if we make most usable dev tools optional from Jet Engine dashboard, enable and disable? So like we've got, for CCTs and like you've got for the profile builder and so on, making them available inside there. But like you already say, because they're not specific just to Jet Engine, then it could add to confusion as to where and when these tools should work. So yeah, I don't imagine it's a simple solution. Like you say, not everybody is sort of fully aware of the implications of having these dev tools and making them try to be available in one place, if that makes sense. So I get where the difficulty kind of comes in, especially on a smaller scale, like for the content that I put out, is how you organize that content to make it easily findable for people that don't necessarily know exactly what they're looking for. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand or realize how big a commitment you have to put into making all these things available, making them supported, making them easy to find, and making people aware. How do you do that? There's probably a million different ways that people would recommend, but none of them are going to be the perfect solution for that particular problem. So yeah, I don't envy you, if I'm honest.
Yeah, on some point of product development, when product became so big, for example, like we have now, there is no easy answers for some questions. Like you said, for example, documentation and all these connections between different plugins, and to reflect these connections in the documentations and give the ability to users to find this easily. It's anyway will be hard, but we're trying. It's by the way, it's one of our main focuses for current year to make our product more understandable by the user from the start. I mean, easier for user to start with our tools.
This is the difficulty, I think, with something like I say Jet Engine because it's the tool that I'm probably the most familiar with out of the Crocoblock suite, is there's so much you can do with it, and there's so many different scenarios and combinations of how you could use those tools that I think it's virtually impossible to be able to create enough documentation and educational material to convey exactly what you can do. There's always going to be that level of the person needs to understand the functionality at its core before they can then look at how you'd implement it. So if you don't know the tools, you can't find the solution. And I think there's a difficult thing you've got there, which I don't think anybody that creates tools that have as many functions as, like I say, Jet Engine, Jet Smart Filters, Jet Search, and so on, to be able to convey all the possibilities and all the options that you could have from a tool as comprehensive as that. So it's not an easy one. I don't think there's a solution. I think there's just a level of compromise to satisfy as many people as possible. But yeah.
Could I add one last note on this?
Of course.
All this just speak, it's our from one side our big power of Crocoblock plugins, but from other side is the biggest problem because when we started, in our heads was some idea of Lego blocks. When you have some abstract parts of functionality and you can build anything you want. For example, you don't have some car, you don't buy car, I mean tiny car, but you buy 4 wheels, some platform where you connect these wheels, and some additional blocks with which you can create other parts of the car. And it was the idea of Crocoblock plugins at the start. For example, we have Jet Engine as base, we have Jet Sim Core, which creates the structure of the website. We have Jet Menu, which is responsible just for menu. We have some modules in the Jet Engine which are responsible for some tiny part of functionality. But the problem is also as with Lego, because it's so abstract. It's hard to understand what exactly you can do with this, because you can just see this amount of blocks, and if you don't have clear vision or not already familiar with this, you will be hard to understand how to do what you need step by step. When you use some plugins, which, for example, if we take, lost the mind, never mind.
But I think you're right with the analogy of Lego. You know, you can follow the instructions in a box of Lego and you can build whatever it is that an X-Wing or a TIE fighter from Star Wars, for example. But you don't have to just build that. You could build a million other things. But you still need to know what it is you want to build and then look at the pieces that you need to be able to build it. And I think, like you say, when it comes to like Jet Engine, Jet Smart Filters, Jet Search and so on, you need to know what it is you're trying to achieve, and you need to know how the pieces can fulfill that and if they can fulfill it before you can move on. And like I say, I think that's the difficult part when it comes to educating people how to use the tools, is how do you convey as much information as possible to give them a solid understanding of those building blocks, those Lego pieces, to let them then go, I want to build this. How would I do it? What would I need to use inside the Crocoblock tools? Now, before we go any further, I quickly want to say that Lana, when I spoke to her earlier on, this is a last minute thing, I asked her, could we have a lifetime deal giveaway during the live stream? And she said yes, which was very, very nice of her. So if anybody would like to be entered into this competition to win the lifetime copy of the Freelancer deal, which is currently worth, I think, $750, so unlimited license for all of the Crocoblock suite, drop me an email at crocoblock@wptuts.co.uk. I just put that into the chat now. And this is only valid while the live stream is going. If you send an email to that and just say, I want to win Crocoblock. Then we'll take a look, and Lana will pick a name at random and send out the details to you so you can have full access to the Crocoblock suite for the freelancer edition, which gives you up to 500 websites. So thank you, Andrey, for doing that, and thank you, Lana, for sorting that out for me as well. So if you'd like that, Crocoblock at WPTuts.co.uk, and Lana, over the next couple of days, will pick one lucky winner and send out the relevant details. So just wanted to say that while it was fresh in my mind. Okay, so next question. Okay, CCTs. Now, I had a conversation with Els on email a couple of weeks ago, or via chat, about CCTs. So what are the plans for CCTs moving forward? Do you have any kind of ideas of where you'd like to take this? Let's take potential technical limitations out of it. What would you like to see CCTs doing in the future? Because I think there's a lot of mileage in having those in their own separate database from a performance point of view. But obviously there are limitations currently. So I'd love to know what do you think, or how would you like to see CCTs push forward in the future? What plans do you have, if any?
At the moment, the main plans for CCT and for the most other parts of especially Jet Engine is an improve UI and UX. Because, for example, when you already created CCT and go to adding or editing CCT items, it has a bit old UI, which we created, I think, eight years ago as a part of our interface builder solution. And nowadays, this UI not the best has not the best fit with other parts of the WordPress admin area, first of all. And second, it's not the best even from user side. It's not what, for example, I as author of the thing, it's not what I want to see. I want to see the better UI, but unfortunately, until now, no, not now, before, we don't have enough time to invest it in just improving some UI parts of the plugin which already works. But at some moment we faced that the old UI and not easy to understand for user UI. It's also one of our big problem, because it creates some issues for user at the start of using Crocoblock suite. Maybe it's all I speak just now not totally related to the CCTs UI itself, but CCTs UI it also a big problem. The second part, what we want to definitely improve in the CCTs, it's an integration of the CCT into other parts of WordPress and other parts of Crocoblock package itself. For example, we still not totally complete the great integration for CCT and single post type for a given CCT. This integration has some issues at the moment. Also, for example, now with Jet Engine 3.5, we adding a new functionality for repeater fields. This functionality allows to store repeater items not as the single field in the database, but as the separate fields. And with this functionality, you can filter, for example, posts by inner values of repeater items. But unfortunately, at the moment, we can't integrate this functionality with CCT because of the data storage type of the CCT. So it's also part which requires some improvement. And when we finish all this, improvements. We will take a look more deep what more we can do with CCT.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree that this functionality has a lot of possibilities, but we need to resolve these issues I mentioned before we can start to go deeper.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Out of curiosity, take out bug fixes and things. How do you prioritize what you develop inside Crocoblock? Just curious as to sort of, you've obviously got a roadmap, and that roadmap is influenced by, community, internal, whatever. How do you sort of decide what you want to sort of push forward, what to prioritize then, the sort of features? I'm just curious about that side of things, if you don't mind sort of saying.
Oh, it's also a complicated question, and it also very interesting. We have some system. We have our internal bug tracker, issues tracker, and our public suggestions Git. In our internal issues tracker, we collect all issues which come from support. For example, you have a couple of tiers of support. First is chat, then ticket. In ticket, you can get the result. Your issue can be resolved by ticket manager, or if ticket manager has not enough knowledge to resolve it, it redirects this issue to technical support. If technical support can't resolve this issue, he redirects it to the developers. So we have big stack of such issues, and we combine all issues into the one big project, separate project for each plugin. And then from this big bunch of issues, we building our release roadmaps. Into minor releases, we add in mostly bugs, and bugs prioritized by support. For example, if support has only one person with this bug, this low priority bug. If already 2, 3, 4 persons came to support with the same problem, it's a medium priority. And if 5, 6, 7, 8 or more people already came into the support with some issue, it's a critical priority which will be added into the closest minor release. With major releases situation a bit different. We planning these releases for a long time in the future. For example, at the moment we have planned releases almost until the end of the year, and this releases was planned in the end of the previous year. This release is mostly bundled with some features. Features we mostly take from the suggestions GitHub, but also we can take it also from support issues, because not always support issues it's a bug. Often it's a feature request. And we also set the priority for these issues by the number of requests and by the complication of implementation of this feature. For example, again in 3.5 we adding a new feature, custom meta storage. It's an ability to store your metadata of your CPT in the separate table, not in the regular post meta table, but in the separate table. Like, for example, Metabox plugin has its feature requested a long time ago. At first, it has a big number of people who also ask this, but we don't take it into our roadmap for a long time, because it's a complicated feature to implement, and it has a lot of problems with compatibility with other parts of Crocoblock plugins. So at the start, we need to prepare the base for this feature. For example, resolve all problems which could create some issues when we will implement this feature. And only after this, we will take this feature into the work. For example, like it happened with custom meta storage. Oh, it was hard to explain. Hope you and people understand me because it's a big challenge for my English skills.
That's fair enough. And you're doing brilliantly. So just relax. You're doing well.
Uh, uh, to be honest, it's something even hard to explain in my native language because it's a lot of tiny parts, and you try to remember them all and try to combine these all parts into the single answer, and that's why you always searching the correct words.
Plus, you kind of you have a lot of things I can imagine inside the company that you're working on, and sometimes you prioritize things. Sometimes you kind of like you've got to rush to get a bug fix out that's affecting people. So I can imagine there's no sort of definitive answer. There's probably so many moving parts to the whole process. So well done anyway. Okay, so let me take a couple of questions from the chat a second, because I've got a couple here that I think are worth sort of taking a look at. Cow, which I still think is a great name, asked the question, have you thought about offering Crocoblock trained AI? If a user wants to learn how to develop dynamic listings, for example, the AI starts guiding the user step by step through it to instructions, where to click and so on. Have you looked into AI from a sort of a support point of view or a sort of training point of view with regards to the Crocoblock suite?
We already experimented with such things, but they are not ready for the production. And yes, it's mainly related to support because such things, like described in the question, could reduce a support load with some trivial questions. And thanks to this, our support can give more often more their time to resolving some big problems or some complicated issues, not just explaining again and again how to complete some common task. And as I said, yes, we experimented with this, but it's not production ready because it's again a big amount of information, and AI at the moment not always answer correctly. But I hope in the future such things will be part of our support chat.
Yeah, I think AI, people look at the term AI and they think that it is becoming this incredibly knowledgeable, almost perfect non-entity, whereas probably 20-30% of the time it gives the wrong answer, but it gives it with 100% conviction. So you could definitely be leading people in the wrong direction, giving them the wrong answer, but it's kind of like it's very sure that is the right way. I think we've got a long way to go before AI can do things other than just answer the basics, take on those simple things. And like you say, it's great for answering those repetitive questions, because once that question's been asked and answered by a real human being, that could be used to train the AI. So the next time that question gets answered, the answer is going to be correct. But I think from a training point of view, you'd need an awful lot of data for that to be able to effectively create the answers and a step-by-step guide through how to do something using AI technology. So I think we've got a little way to go before that becomes a viable option, I'd say.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. And so we've got Rookie Smarts is asking, Why are you focusing mostly on CPT videos and not CCT? So this is videos more than anything now. Can you please start creating technical videos more for CCTs? So is this something that you're looking to do? Because I know you're working with a couple of different creators like Wiki Design and so on with Mark. Is CCTs is something that's sort of in the near future to create some dedicated tutorials and guides on, or is that something that you haven't really sort of considered at this point in time?
Maybe I'm not the best person to answer this question because my main responsibility to create some features related to CCT or CPT, not the videos itself. Uh, but as I know, our video production department also has some plan, and it's long plan of the videos, and this plan created by user requests, which they found in the community, gets from the support. So I hope this list prioritized in in the most these videos which will be most helpful for user. I'm not sure it will be exactly videos about CCT or CPT or forms, but I'm sure it will be videos which are requested by users the most for topics which are requested by users the most.
Again, this is the difficult thing. This is going back to that Lego analogy. You'll never create enough educational content to cover every eventuality. And I think that's something that, coming from a content creator's point of view that's done over 1,000 videos, I don't think people necessarily understand how difficult it is to try and create tutorials and guides, and whether it's written or video, to be able to convey enough information to give people the foundation knowledge to be able to do what they want to do, as opposed to showing a specific use case. Like you say, with CCTs, you could demonstrate how they work, or you could demonstrate a use case. But at some point, it's not going to be right for everybody. And this is, I think, the difficulty kind of comes in, is how do you approach that? So again, not an easy answer, because I think you've got such a comprehensive set of tools with so many different potential use cases. You're never going to convey enough information to cover every eventuality. So I get the difficulty there, but here's a different one, completely different, going back to your support, and a good reason not to use AI. Support, even in complicated cases, showed me always the right solution. Great persons working in support at Crocoblock, which is always nice, because a lot of the time, the support people behind any product are not the ones that get the love. They're usually the ones that get the frustration and the anger and the annoyance. So it's lovely when you get people saying and passing on how good it is. So thank you very much. I'm sure everybody at support in Crocoblock would appreciate the comment.
Yeah, also thank you for this comment, and our support walk long trip from the start of Crocoblock when it was one person, as I remember, two persons, to the department with 30, as I remember, 30 plus even people at the moment. And as I said before, is a continuously integrated process. Client issue can be started from the chat, and going step by step. It could came in as issue into the hands of the developer. So it's not some gap between support and developers. It's continuously integrated process when each user request. We're trying to resolve each user request as best as we can on the stage where we can resolve it, or it will be chat support, or it will be ticket support, or it will be technical support, or it will be resolved with the help of developer.
Brilliant. Again, it's nice to see, excuse me, that there is the potential to speak to the developers behind the product, because sometimes that's the only way you can find a solution, or at least you can convey what the problem is to the people that actually would be working on that product. And therefore you speak into the the person behind it, as it were, or one of the people behind it. So that's good to know that there's, that's the way the support system works. It actually works its way up the chain and ultimately could end up with one of the developers. So that's pretty cool. Okay, we've got a question which is coming from Stephanie. Is Crocoblock compatible with Bricks Builder? To answer that question quickly, Jet Engine
Yes.
is pretty much fully supported. Jet Smart Filters has solid support. Forms is agnostic, so you can use that with any kind of tool. Am I missing any out? Jet Search?
Jet Search, yes. At the
Yeah.
moment, Jet Search, Jet Form Builder, also Jet, probably Jet Booking. Yes, Jet Booking. You also can use Jet Booking right now because mostly Jet Booking uses Jet Engine for complete its own front-end tasks. So that's why Booking also compatible with Bricks, and as I remember, Appointment should be mostly compatible. I need to check this right now because I'm not sure, but it close. It's close to be compatible. It's for sure.
Excellent.
As
And
for the second part, yes, yes.
no, I was just going to answer the second part and say, no, you don't need to purchase it again. Crocoblock is platform agnostic. Once you buy it, you can use it on whatever platform you want. Hopefully I'm right there.
Yeah, totally.
Just making sure. Okay. So are you planning to fully integrate Jet Form Builder into Bricks? I don't think you really need to, do you? I mean, it's its own separate plugin. I don't know. Is there a reason to integrate it directly into Bricks itself?
As I understand such questions, because we also get some same questions about Elementor. People mean that we make possible to create the form with some builder, for example, with Elementor or with Bricks Builder. But at the moment, no, we don't have such plans. The integration forms with other builders will be done only on the level of adding the form and styling the added form. As you added the form as widget into any builder. For example, in Elementor you can already do this. In Bricks you can already do this. Maybe in the future we add some integrations with other builders. You add the form as widget, and you can style the form, added form, with widget settings. It's at the moment it's only integration we planning to do with Bricks and with any other builders maybe in future.
I suppose the question that Yanis may be asking is more a case of the data that you pass from the form. Could you actually access that during the form submission process inside Bricks? I suppose that would be a use case for an integration directly into the builder itself. So you could reference that data. Is there any way you can do that? Is that naturally supported, or is that kind of outside what you could do with it within Bricks or Elementor or any of those kinds of tools?
If I understand correctly, the question and your question, form builder, it's also builder agnostic in this way. You can use it with any builder, and the data will be processed in the same way and will be accessible in the same way. For example, you can add some CPT, you can add CCT, you can add some hooks and do something on form submit. And this will work the same in Elementor, in Blocks Editor, and in Bricks, and it's not depend on the builder. It depends on the form functionality itself, which, as I said, builder agnostic.
Okay, cool. We've got a question regarding: do you plan to translate your plugins into multiple languages?
If it's about admin area at the moment, no, unfortunately no, because we don't have enough resources at the moment. But when we will finish iteration, which currently in progress, our big development, strategic development iteration, which are related to performance, which are related to documentation, which are related to UI, UX, and some new features which are already planned, I think we will take this into the work. But as I said, at the moment, unfortunately, we have enough resources for such task.
Fair enough. Like you say, you've got to prioritize what you do. I mean, have you ever thought of using AI to handle the translation, or maybe even open it up to the community to provide translation options? Like if you're talking about just the admin side of things, so the actual text that's used inside the admin, maybe something you could look at opening up to the community to give them the ability to translate it. I know a lot of other plugins out there have done the same kind of thing. I know that, if I'm mistaken, Code Snippets opened it up to the community to create the translations to various different languages. So it might be one of those options that's worth considering, involving the community, maybe give them something in return, and give them the ability to be able to translate into their native tongue, as it were. So it's an option.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion, and it's a good option, but it also require from us some preparational work. We need to prepare some infrastructure to make sure we can correctly handle all the data from the users and check it and add to the plugin. We need to build some workflow. So anyway, it requires some, even we will add all the translation itself to the community. It will require some work from our side to correctly integrate these translations into our workflow and into the plugins itself. And for example, we also often updating the naming of some options or adding better descriptions for the options. So, as I said, it will require in any case some resources from our side. But unfortunately, again, at the moment, as we not once already speak about during this live, you need to decide. You need to decide what to do now and what you can do now. And the only thing you can do from your side as developer, you just make this decision and accept the reaction. Uh, we always understand when we're releasing something that will be a lot of people who say why you done this but not that. At first we not reacted well inside our team on this, but now we a bit we become a bit grower. We, in other words, we understand that all we can do from our side is decide what we can do right now, do it, and then just accept the reaction of the people and keep our work.
Everybody thinks that their suggestion and their problem is the priority. And unfortunately, you've got to pick your battles. Which ones actually are priority? Which ones can we do in a realistic time? Because sometimes the smallest change have the biggest impact on the project, on the product. And not everybody is 100% understanding of that side of things. So I think there's always going to be a bit of a balancing act there to keep as many people happy as possible, but also make it realistic in what you can achieve in between releases. So I totally get where you're coming from with that. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions that apparently I've ignored, so I do apologize if I haven't picked up on everybody's questions. But in my defense, you didn't put #Q, so you've only got yourself to blame. Just joking. Okay, so we've got, are there any plans to extend JetWoo Builder for bricks? I know this is one of those areas that people are kind of saying that there's not that many good plugins out there for bricks that allow you to work with WooCommerce. So I suppose the question does make sense. So is there any plans to sort of have JetWoo Builder support in bricks?
At the moment, no, because again, to be honest, and again, it's my opinion. WooCommerce, it's heavy itself. When you just install WooCommerce, your site became a bit slower. When you add in any third-party website builder, it also creates some load on your website. And if we will try to add some more on top of this, it never be performant. It never be quick as users want. And we faced this problem with JetWooBuilder for Elementor because we we want from our side to make it as quick, as fast as we can. But anyway, when you combine Elementor and WooCommerce on the single website and you add in something else, anything else on top of this, it will be always a bit slow. Let's say so. So I think we need to search or make some research on this and maybe find some solution in the future how to do this really performant. But until we don't want to add some functionality which we will totally sure in the future we get complaints about performance on this functionality. It's from our side. It maybe will be good marketing move to increase some sales in the moment, but in the future it totally sure will be the problems with some reputational things about performance complaints, about some issues on compatibility, because when you integrate with two so heavy things and two so quickly developed things like WooCommerce and Bricks, you anyway on some point will have some compatibility issues. It's again for 100% sure, because updates of WooCommerce, updates of Bricks, that these updates are not related to each other. Each team make the things which this team consider as the best for their products, and these updates can break something in your product. And for users, you always be the last person who responsible for this, because where it's broken in JetWooBuilder. But nobody cares that it's broken after some unexpected update where some logic was changed in the way which we can never imagine. For example, that is happened. Now I don't speak about some specific case. It's just about my thoughts on all of this.
You've got three moving parts in the equation there, and I think that's where, like you say, the potential problems arise. Is if one person makes a change that to them makes sense, it can have massive knock-on effects to the other people. And like you say, the blame always lands on the tool that stops functioning. It doesn't matter the cause; it's your fault. So I totally get it. And WooCommerce is not exactly the best tool to develop for anyway. So I think your decision is probably the right one at this point in time, until you can potentially dedicate time to making something, like you say, is performant. Okay, so you've got one more question from the floor, and then I'm going to do one more question that's coming from the community, and then I think we're going to wrap things up, because I'm conscious I don't want to keep you all afternoon. So question we've got is from Rohit. Do you guys plan on improving the custom dashboard front-end view? Currently, it looks basic with current functionality. So is there any plans to update the looks, maybe alongside the functionality for the front-end or the custom dashboard front-end view?
To be honest, again, hard to say right now, because again, when we speaking about some abstract solution, which we are trying to add at first into our plugin. And when you creating something abstract, it will look basic anyway. But by adding some not even functionality, but by implementing concrete case on this abstract functionality, you can make this dashboard looking very, very attractive, not basic. I saw a couple, maybe even a lot of client projects which was made on the profile builder from Jet Engine, and which looks like heavy dashboards built with some maybe hand coded, maybe with some separate plugins, totally related to building some dashboards. So from one side, it's not even issue of the plugin, but at most it's an issue how you doing some things. And from second point of view, we again facing the performance issue, because if we add in more functionality into the plugin, it becomes more heavy, it becomes more slow, it becomes bloated. It's favorite word for such cases in the Facebook. And again, it's an issue of a decision from our side, or make at the moment things more simple, control it and more fast, or adding some more functionality and cover maybe more cases, but make things more heavy. So when from our side, when we understand we're ready, when we understand we can do this in the best way, we will move to these issues, to this part of the functionality of Jet Engine. But at the moment, not sure it will be in the nearest maybe 2 major releases, maybe later.
Again, it's finding that balance between giving the functionality and letting people design it the way they want to design it and let them do that themselves. Or, like you say, give everything in there, of which a lot of people probably don't have any need for every single thing that you could put in there. And then the balance comes down to the more features you put in, the less performant things become. And then people get frustrated that this isn't as quick as it used to be, the builder's lagging, or whatever it's going to be. So, like you say, and like you said through the stream, sometimes you have to make the decision and make the call. And you're not going to make everybody happy, but you have to look at the big picture and not just, the sort of like the small number of people that maybe are frustrated that it isn't working the way that they want it to work. So totally get where you're coming from with that. So I'm going to do one more question. This is from the community, and this is to do with Jet Engine, I believe it is. So bear with me. Actually, tell a lie. People say that the plugins are not the most performant. What's being done to address that? I think part of what is being done to address that is what we've talked about, which is not putting all the features that you possibly could into every single plugin. But obviously, you're aware of people's feedback with regards to the performance. Is there anything specific you're doing to increase the performance moving forward with the plugins that you have as part of the Crocoblock suite?
Yes, again, if we will get back to our strategic plans for this years, which are already mentioned a couple of times, performance is the thing which is on the first place. And we're speaking about performance. I think here we have three main directions where we can improve. First direction is refactoring of some code which already presented in the plugin. Our plugins make it more fast, or make it cacheable For example, like in case of jet pop-ups, with one of the latest updates, we added an ability to cache Ajax content of pop-ups. And with these options, they became 10x faster, maybe. It's again, it's abstract number, not totally correct, but it's significant boost. Also, we have a lot of old code because our plugins, first versions of our plugins was created 6 years ago, and part of this code need to be rewritten to make it most compatible and with all newer things in our plugins and fastest as possible. The second direction is adding some new tools to allow users make the same themes faster. For example, if we're speaking about this direction, the move into this direction was CCT when we added it. The second move in this direction was tweak listings. Because with tweak listings you can, yes, it's harder to build listing itself because you need a knowledge of HTML and CSS to build the exact layout you want. But also with the tweak listing, you get fastest performance. For example, I read the comments in the Facebook not so long time ago, and I almost cry from happiness because someone written that the JetSmart filters, when you're using it with jet engine listing and jet engine listing item built with tweak, it's so fast as Webpack Grid Builder. It was it was a big pleasure to read this because when we created this functionality, it was an idea because we compared the numbers and we compared the numbers exactly with Webpack Grid Builder. And it was a big pleasure to read in the Facebook that someone used it in the way like we planned. But go back to the main topic. Again, in the second direction, next move is adding custom meta storage. It also make queries more faster. And maybe in the future we add more new tools to make something of your website more fast. And the last direction, third, it's educating users to use the tools correctly. Because very often I faced the issue on client websites that some performance problems was not related to any plugin itself, which I installed on this website, but the way how this plugin is used. For example, in JetEngine, we have an context option, but this option not very well covered from our site in the documentation, so not so many people noticed that this option is presented. And for example, you need an author information box on the single page template of some custom post type. And how very often our clients do this thing. They create listing item with the information about author, and then create listing to display the single item on the single page of the some CPT with this author. But in this case, you create overload by using additional widgets on the Elementor site. It's listing grid. You create overload by using listing grid itself at Crocoblock site because it requires an additional resources to render listing grid as listing grid because it needs to render separate CSS related to this listing grid. It needs to handle all objects which are included into this listing grid. But with the context option, for example, you can do the same thing by using just widgets, regular Crocoblock widgets, for example, using dynamic field widget to add author name on the single post page. You just add in this widget, just selecting in the options display name of user and select the context current author page. And it's only one of the examples when not tool itself creates some performance problem, but the way of usage of this tool. I agree that's also our problem because it's our main goal in this case to educate our users to use our tools correctly because it will make our users happier and will reduce the load to our support team and our developers team to resolve some problems or some issues which appear in case when users trying to use our tools in the way, for example, like they not supposed to be when we developed. So it's a third direction of the performance improvement is education of users. And when we will complete all of these three directions, I think this problem will not be a problem. But again, it requires a lot of work. It's like you said before, the balance, it's the main word of this stream because anyway, when we will moving in these directions, we need to make the same decisions. Do this thing at this time or that thing at this time. And anyway, we need to select. And again, anyway, to need to accept the reaction of the people to our decision.
Yeah, that fine line you've got to walk to keep everybody happy while still pushing forward and doing what people want you to do. Yeah, there's no easy way, I don't think, especially, excuse me, where you've got as many tools and as many moving parts and external factors that you have to kind of work with. If you were building your own product for the entire thing, like Apple, for example, Apple have full control over the hardware, the software, so they can control how everything works and they have total control. Then you look at Windows and Microsoft, where there's a million or millions of combinations and they're trying to make things work for it. So it's very difficult when you have Elementor, Gutenberg, Core, Bricks Builder, all those different things that you have no control over. And then, like you say, people not necessarily using the tools in the right way because they are used to working in a certain way with Elementor, then they start working with Jet Engine, and they sometimes bring over those bad habits or lack of understanding. So like you say, education is a big part of it, but also a difficult part, like we've already said. Okay, so I'm conscious of the time. I've kept you a little bit longer than we intended to. So before we wrap things up, I want to say that, again, if you want a chance to win the freelancer lifetime deal of Crocoblock, send me an email at crocoblock@wptuts.co.uk. And if anybody's had a problem, because I've seen a couple of comments saying the emails haven't come through correctly, if you're not on the Facebook group, send me a private message there with the details and your email address, and I will forward it on to Lana as well to make sure that you're entered into the competition. And if you're not lucky enough to win it, and you still want to bag yourself up to 40% off, you can buy any of the tools on there with using the code CROCOTURNS6 to get up to 40% off. So you can use that code if you want to purchase anything on there, including the lifetime deal. But like I said, there's a couple of options there for you. Good luck to everybody that's going to potentially win. There's only one copy, but one of you will be lucky. So, Andrey, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on today's live stream and for answering all the questions. I know we couldn't get to every one of them, but I think we'd probably be here for the next 3 hours trying to answer as many questions as we could. So thank you so much for being part of today's live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it hasn't been too stressful. And anything you'd like to say last of all before we sort of wrap things up?
Yeah, I also want to say thank you, Paul, for giving us, me and us as a company, an opportunity to get involved in such event. Also, I want to say thank you for all peoples who came here and asked some questions, because it's for us, it's interest of the people not only in the not only in using our products, but even in listening when we talking about product, and even when I trying to speaking about this in English, which for me it's really hard. But anyway, people come here and listen this and ask some questions. It's a big pleasure. For us, it's understanding that what we're doing. It's find some feedback in people's lives, and it's neat for them, and it's interesting for them, and for us it's a big pleasure to understand this. So
Brilliant.
again, thank you.
No, my pleasure. Maybe we'll do it again when you turn 7. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining in today's live stream. Thank you, Andrey, for being part of it and being a great sport and answering all the questions. If we missed any of your questions out, I do apologise. And if you're watching this on catch up, if you've got any questions, drop those in the comment section, and I'm sure myself and some of the Crocoblock team will be coming back to check those out and answer as many as is possible. Good luck to everybody that's entered into winning the lifetime deal. And if you're just going to grab yourself the discount, remember to use CrocoTurns6 to save yourself up to 40% off any of the deals there. So thank you once again. Look after yourself, everybody, wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you all really, really soon. Take care.
Yeah, goodbye.